There is no other set of openings, whether it be from an anime, cartoons, TV shows, YouTube Red originals, or whatever, that has made me feel as many different feelings at once as the Naruto openings. It's the purest form of nostalgia that fills me with warm fuzzy feelings as I reminisce on the show I watched so much as a kid. And then there's anger because Naruto really won't live up to my expectations because the ratio of dialogue to action is way out of whack. Shoot, the ratio of meaningful dialogue to filler dialogue is also pretty awful too.
Take it easy.
Todoroki!
Just go back and see how many times things that we are shown are explained in excruciating detail. Like, it's baffling. And then after anger, there's sadness from the thoughts of what could have been. The opening showed great things that, in my opinion, weren't fully realized in the show, but I'll talk more about that in a second. But even with that, I still feel happy because the openings gave me nice memories and that won't really change. Plus, I get all those happy memories without having to actually watch the show again, so win-win. And of course, the Naruto openings themselves are a masterpiece and should be treated as such, so there's that. But before I jump into things, I do want to say that I'm mostly going to be focusing on Naruto's openings, so that means no Shippuden. I didn't completely watch it, so the memories aren't there like OG Naruto was. Well, maybe super early Shippuden, like up to the Gaara retrieval arc, but that's about it. And I might touch on the endings, probably not, but it's not the main focus, so Alright, now I could jump in. To start, the first thing that I feel makes the Naruto opening so great is the sense of expanded lore that it gives. There are some really interesting characters in Naruto that absolutely get shafted. Sure, they might get some development and fillers, but I only remember like a couple of them, like the Shino smiling one. But there's just too many and they're so unimportant that it ends up being forgotten. That's where the openings come in. It does such a great job of adding character to not only the side characters, but even the main characters. Sometimes just them hanging out like the girls do in opening 9. Also, just so I don't forget, opening 9 even had everyone in different clothes and even showed Naruto actually practicing fighting. No jutsu, just physical combat, which is something I don't think we really saw too often. In addition to 9, let's also look at 4, 6, and 7. 4 starts with a constantly moving screen where we're treated to pictures of the characters interacting with each other woven into a scroll. Among them, you have all the teachers hanging out, the pets doing something together, Lee showing a clean bill of health, the girls once again in some yukatas, and of course Shikamaru and Choji taking a pic at a sick angle. We get to see these characters in elements that we aren't used to seeing, for example hanging out with people we don't usually see them hanging out with, and it gives a stronger sense of camaraderie and friendship that is so important to the show. They don't need to interact with Naruto to be important because that's not how life works. And this opening, as well as 6, do a great job of showing this. It makes the characters feel more alive and adds depth to them that may have been done in 20 episodes of filler, but just for one character. For the 6th opening, it's all about training in the wake of Sasuke's, departure. The whole group lost a friend and the start of the opening reflects this with Naruto. Under a dark and gloomy storm, rain falling on him, Naruto laments his failure to stop Sasuke. Other characters are shown bearing this same sort of gloominess, showing that this event didn't only affect Team 7, it sent ripples throughout Konoha. But then Naruto steals his resolve in true Naruto fashion and starts running. From here we see the other ninjas training. Off the bat, it's really cool to see how these people train. Shikamaru working on his shadow possession, Hinata honing her fighting skills, Kiba working on his agility, and even Tenten is there working on her different weapons, I assume. It shows that they all have the drive to get better because really, they all failed. So it's so hyped to see them motivated to get better. And it's not just through training, some of them just want to digest what happened. Most notably the people who weren't on the Sasuke retrieval mission. They seem to be taking it in their own way. Shino betrays no emotions, while Ino and Sakura seem to be hopeful for the future. It makes me want to watch the show because I want to see how they grow mentally and physically. I won't, but you know, the sentiment is still there. The opening also has a really cool parallel with Sasuke. Konoha's teens, the teachers, and even some of the Akatsuki are all shown together, but when we finally see Sasuke, he's by himself, looking towards emptiness. The path he walks is one he goes alone, and he doesn't even know where it'll take him. Meanwhile, Naruto runs back to Konoha, where his friends will be there to help and support him. It's incredibly deep, and I needed absolutely no dialogue to draw that conclusion. On to opening 7. This might be the only time I've seen it at Lee's house. Actually, I can only think of Naruto and maybe Guy as being the only people I've seen inside of their houses. Everyone comes together at the end to chill out and watch the stars where they all eventually have a group huddle. It's really cool to see Choji and Shikamaru fist bump during the end here because it really shows how close they are. Sasuke and Naruto are the focal point, but the others are still developing together, even if the show doesn't always say it. And throughout the opening, we have Naruto barreling forward as memories of the show play out, which leads to my next point. The openings do a really good job of summarizing what's going on throughout the show. I'll keep this part brief, but let's look at openings 2 and 3, which take place during the tuning exams. 2 shows us who the main players are and what teams that they are a part of, which gives us quick insight into the dynamics going on. We see that Naruto is going to have to deal with that red-headed kid that uses sand and looks terrifying. We also know that Naruto is going to go through great pains and deal with the Nine Tails, but as usual, he perseveres. 3 goes even deeper into the dynamics as we look into the childhoods of some of the characters. Neji looks to be troubled as a kid, and that gives an idea about why he is the way he is now. AKA might give a little insight as to why he beat the mess out of Hinata and why he's always going on about my destiny. There's the parallel between Gaara and Naruto, who were both isolated as kids, and seeing how Gaara turned out illuminates why Naruto is so about friendship and making connections, something that is hammered into our heads throughout the show. Then there's the shot of all the masters and their students, showing how they care about the students, which does play a big role throughout the exams. The rest of the openings are like this, and it's very easy to watch it and get an idea of what's going on. Of course, you won't get the finer details, but I like filling in the blanks since the openings give me a general theme and such. With all that said, I did leave the most obvious and important part of the openings for last. The animations and music are superb. Everything that I've said before this is only possible because of the music choices and really unique animation. I don't know the breakdown for the budget, but it feels like some A-team was working on them. Each opening and ending for that matter is extremely unique as they seem to experiment with different ideas, angles, art styles, and what have you that are molded by the music and what's going on in the show at the time. I know some people like to clown on how creepy some of the characters look at the start of opening 7, but there is some clear effort put in and it looks like nothing else in Naruto. It's really cool. The best way I can describe the animation is that it's like the best fight scenes where they go full style and it looks awesome. For example, part of the Naruto vs Sasuke fight, Lee vs Gaara, and Kakashi vs Obito. If you know those fights, you know exactly what I mean. And then there's the music. I don't know how one show had consistently amazing songs in its openings, but Naruto did that. Each one of them is an earworm that has you thinking about it long after you watch it. To this day, you can play the start of any of them and I will instantly recognize it. I even have most of the songs downloaded, and it even made me look for the rest of the artist's discography. It's probably how people felt about Sugar Song and Bitter Step, Kekai Sensen's ending. I think it was helpful that the openings were done by some great bands that did some top tier stuff before and after this. There's Flow, Asian Kung Fu Generation, Sambo Master to name a few, and shoot, there's even a chance one of them did one of your favorite non-Naruto openings. I think it was perfect because it felt like Naruto, if that makes sense. It was post-pounding, fast-paced, and energetic just like Naruto himself. It was a good pump-up to start the episode because Naruto is a shonen and all shonens need to be pumped up to make the actual episode hit hard. And of course there's opening 9, which is noticeably slower, but it was for good reason. It was the final opening for Naruto before Shippuden and everything was winding down. There was no need to pump us up because there was nothing to really pump up. The show knew this and gave us a calming opening to truly prepare us for the next step as we hoped Shippuden would deliver. And did it do that? Well, that's really up to you. I will say at least the first couple of arcs were a nice return, and Make Some Noise is a good comeback to the show. It was like we were cheering for the return. Either way, the music shined because it held up well even on its own, which in large part helped the opening shine just as bright. Now, this isn't to say that no other openings are this good. Off the top of my head, Gintama has great openings and even better endings. All I'm saying is that the feeling that Naruto creates with this disparity between the actual show and the opening is unlike anything I've seen and serves to support my idea that the Naruto openings are masterpieces and should be treated as such. Alright, I'm done. What did you think of the video? What's your favorite Naruto opening? Are there any openings that give you this feeling? Let me know in the comments, I love to read them. And if you did like the video, be sure to like and subscribe because it really does mean a lot. But before you go practicing your hand signs to shoot fire out of your mouth, have a good day.